And then we'll talk about keys and reads. If you guys are a back read team, we'll talk about how we keep backs. If you're a guard read team, we'll talk about how you read guards. Okay, and how we do that. As much as I can, I'll try and get a little bit of everything. You know, we play a 50, we play a 3-4 at Poway. We'll play a little bit of 40. We'll play some reduction. And I know some of you guys will play a 4-3, some of you guys will play triple stack. You know, so I'll do what I can to service you guys for that. We play what we call, we have a cone system for the inside linebackers, teaches them their run fits and where they need to be out of every defense. I'll show that to you guys. Okay, but what you're going to want to emphasize on, obviously, is what you guys do. Okay, you know, in terms of reads, we'll get there. We read backs and we read guards. Depends on who we're playing. Okay, if we play the wing team, we've got to read guards. They've got that third back you can't see. Okay, and, you know, the guys of the wing team, you know, most of them know that. If we play a team that's pretty straight ahead, we play an inside-outside zone team that doesn't like to counter a whole lot, we'll read backs. Because backs get your inside backers moving faster. Okay, they do. They get into their run fits right now. If we play a team that wants to counter a ton and zone blocks, okay, then we're going to read guards. We always teach guard reads first. They're tougher. They're tougher. They're slower, but they're more accurate. Okay, back reads are faster, but there's the ability for that back to counter back before the ball's handed off. That's where the rock back comes in. Okay, you guys can copy that stuff down now. You can copy it down afterwards. I'm going to leave it up there for 2 sessions. The second session, inside linebacker, block protection, and shed. Once you've got to your fit, how do you take people on? Okay, how do you take on pullers? How do you take on, you know, the inside zone? How do you play the backside? Okay, so we'll get to that. Now, first, what we're going to do, we're going to start with how we teach footwork to the inside linebackers. Okay, we are big on near foot, near shoulder. Okay, near foot, near shoulder. We do not want our inside linebackers just to take off right now. Okay, just to cross over, run, and go. And if you do, okay, it would behoove you to have some kind of drop-down safety. Somebody that's going to drop down in the box right now for cutback. Okay, somebody that can make it. Okay, any type of 40, we always near foot, near shoulder. Okay, and how fast you're going, whether it's 1 shuffle step or 2 shuffle steps, is based on how far the back is into the triangle, and we'll talk about that. Okay? Is he into the A gap? He's tight to the triangle. B gap? He's into the heart of the triangle. C gap? He's wide of the triangle. Okay? A gap, B gap, there's always 2 shuffle steps. C gap or wider, 1 shuffle step and run. Okay? But we'll talk about those things. This tape here is one that we made for our freshman staff. What we did when we first got to Poway, this was my 2nd year, this past year was my 2nd year there. We went out, made some drill tapes for them, and then gave our freshman staff a clinic of what we wanted on defense. Okay, so we get that taught all the way up. Number 1 is stance. Okay, low pad wins, inside hands win. There's no doubt about that. Okay, now there's a lot of ways that guys will have their kids play. Some of them allow their kids to play a little bit taller. Okay, because they believe it can help them see. If you go back and watch any of our games, you'll see our linebackers always with a flat back. Put your chest on your quads. Okay, that's what we tell them. Put your chest on your quads. Okay, we'll talk about keys and reads later. With the feet, there's 2 ways that we teach them. Number 1, we teach them what we call positive shin angles, where their feet are just outside of their armpits and they're on the inside halves of their feet. So they've got the ability to move laterally and downhill right now on the snap. Okay? Or if our kids are uncomfortable that way or they aren't moving very well, okay, it's going to be based on, you know, one inside backer may play one way, the other may play another. We'll put their feet under their armpits. Okay? We'll put their feet under their armpits. Their chest is on their quads. Now, as an inside linebacker, with their hands, there's 2 ways that we'll do it. If you go ahead and turn on the lights, Coach, I'd appreciate it. Number 1, we'll allow them to put this part of the wrist on the edge of their knees. Okay, here. And if they do that, their fingers are always moving. Here, or allow them to hang them with an elbow break. We don't ever want their arms just hanging down. We feel that's dead weight. Because your shoulders and your elbows need to come back right now anyway. Okay, if you take a look at my feet, my toes are slightly turned out. This is what we call positive shin angles. I'm loosened here. Okay, my hips are not tight. If you get your feet too wide, okay, and you're flat-footed, now you're tight here. You don't have the ability to move. Okay, or we'll put their feet under their armpits, and we'll allow them to play here or here. We tell our kids you have to put your hands on your knees. You're tired, you're coming out. Okay, so that's the way that we do it. So number one, we'll just start with stance. Now I know I've only got 50 minutes, so I'm going to be flying here a little bit. If you guys ever have a question, please feel free to ask. I'll do what I can to answer it right now. Okay? Okay, here's the back view. Low pad wins, inside hands win. Next. Okay, near foot, near shoulder. This is exactly how we teach it first. Okay? When we teach this stuff that we do here, we want it taught in the off season. We start in March, okay, right after the big March clinic down in San Diego. Okay, we bring every position out once a week for an hour, okay, until we get into spring practice in June, just to get the kids moving. They play another sport, that's the way it goes. Okay, we want to get all the footwork, all the keys and reads, and all the generic tackling taught in the off season. Okay, we get to spring, we're in the block protection shed right now. Okay, so number one, when we coach our kids, coach them in mass. As much as we can, every kid's going to go at once. If you feel you've got a depth chart, then put them in order. Okay, for us, we would just put them in a straight line right now. Okay, near foot, near shoulder, starting to the right. It's a 6-inch step downhill on a 45-degree angle. Inside linebackers, initial movement, it's not about distance, it's about quickness. If you take too big of a step, and that back counters back, or the guard pulls, or whatever, okay, we're not going to be able to move. And we'll talk about keys and reads later. But it's a 6-inch step, get it down quick. Okay, get it down quick. We punch the near knee and the near foot down 6 inches, then we're going to replace with the back foot. Okay, excuse me. Number one, we always go on the bird dog. Set, hit, hit. Every time I say hit, you take a step. It's 6 inches. Now, as we do that, the front foot will always stay in front. The back foot now is going to split right down the middle of the other foot. So we're going to end up here. Okay? Right foot, left foot, punch it. The near foot that you're always taking off with ends up in front. Take a look at our hands. With our inside linebackers, we like our hands to go back to the holsters right now. Okay? We don't have our kids play with their hands necessarily out in front of them because they can't necessarily get cut. Okay? We're playing high school rules here. Okay? We always tell our kids to come back to the holsters here so when they do punch and they do block protection and shed, they've got some oomph. Okay? And we'll get to block protection and shed later. Some guys like their hands to be quicker and come up here too, that's fine. But keep them tight to the body. That's what's important. Okay? Big. Keep your hips square to the line of scrimmage so now I can make a play either way. First, we always go on the bird dog. Hit, hit. I don't say anything. You freeze it. We make our kids sit there for a second or two to get used to playing in the height of their stance. Next, we always go half speed. Okay? 2-step shuffle to the right. Set, go. They take 2 steps. Get it down quick. Hands always come back to the holsters. Keep the chest on the quads. Low pad wins. It's good to start our kids on the line to make sure they are not moving parallel. Great inside linebackers against the run are coming downhill right now. Okay, we'll do the same thing going the other way, so I'll just let it play. Now, once we have taught them the 2-step shuffle both ways, we are going to have them 2-step shuffle and sprint. Okay, it's not on here. Right now, we are working all front side. 2-step shuffle. 1, 2, and now I'm crossing over and sprinting. Keep my hips as square to the line of scrimmage as I do that. You are coming downhill on a 45, so they're moving just offset this way. Okay, in a tight little arc. 2-step shuffle and sprint. What you're starting to get into is a run-through tap. Okay, we'll talk about that later. So we'll have a 2-step shuffle and sprint to the right a couple times. Then we'll come back, we'll teach them the footwork to the left. We always go bird dog, half speed, full speed. Full speed's always on. Go! Okay, get their ass moving, a little sense of urgency. Okay, once we get it down 2 steps to the left, we're going to 2-step shuffle and we're going to sprint. Okay, now, once we get them to the backside, there's a couple different things that we're going to do. Okay, and it's not on here. The first thing that we'll show them is the backside run through staying square. Okay, and again, when we do that, we've got a cut back player. It is very similar to the front side. Okay, now on the back side, we'll stagger them. Great inside, with our inside linebackers, we always stagger. Okay, the strong inside backer is a little bit closer to the line of scrimmage. The W, the weak side backer, is a ½ a yard back. So when they're moving around, they don't ever bang into each other. That makes sense. That's how we do it. Okay, so we've got our line of strongs right in here. We've got our W's a ½ yard back. Our frontside guys with two-step shuffle, and then attack downhill. Our backside guys are doing the same thing, 1, 2, but they're going to bow it a little bit more, trying to keep their hips square. We just tell them to kick the off knee up and over to stay square for now. Okay, we do not want them turning. As soon as you turn as an inside linebacker, the only play you're making is that way. Okay, you can't possibly make it back. Does that make sense? Okay, so we'll teach them how to run through on the front side and on the back side. Okay, now we're teaching them how to rock back. Hit, hit, rock. Hit, hit. You're keying backs. You're playing a counter team. Okay? Hit, hit. When I say rock, jack the instep down. Okay? Exaggerate your form. Jack that instep all the way down because you're going to use it to push back to your left. The first way, we do it 2 ways. The first way, 2-step shuffle down to the right. When I rock it back, I am rocking back downhill to the left. Hit, hit, rock. Hit, hit. I'm moving downhill again. That's the first way. Again, we go on the bird dog. Once we go on the bird dog, and we go a couple times, we're going to let the kids feel it out on their own. We don't just tell them half speed. Okay, line them up, just let them go at it on their own. It turns into a little bit of a dance step. Keeping the hips square. Okay, eventually we'll get to full speed. Rocking it back, get your feet down quick. Okay, and again, it's the same thing going to the left. Okay, next, teach them to rock back parallel. Hit, hit, rock. Now I'm going back parallel. Okay, they're running the counter trades, going away from me. Something happens, I need to get over the top. Okay, obviously when you rock it back, you don't want to come back downhill. You're going to get caught in the wash. Okay, so we're just teaching them to rock it back parallel. Again, this is the first thing we teach our inside linebackers. This is day 1 of the off season. Just teaching them how to move. Okay, finally, we've already talked about the backside run through, crossing over, keeping your shoulders and your hips square to the line of scrimmage. If you use inside backers that are your cutback player, okay, if they are your cutback player, they have got to stay square on the backside. They cannot start to turn around, they're going to cut it back, there won't be anybody there. Okay? So we teach them to glide. In the glide now, you're allowed to click your heels together. Okay? We start on the bird dog. Hit, hit, hit. Keep the chest on the quads, keep the hands in the holsters. As he takes a big step, now you're trying to gain a lot of ground on the backside, staying square. Hit, hit, big. Bring the heels together. Common mistakes by your kids early on. Okay, they won't bring their heels together. Don't allow them to stop short. Okay, now, if you are the cutback player on the backside, we'll talk about reads and all that in a minute. Okay, his ball's obviously going away and it's going wide. He shuffles downhill to fit off his next down defender. No threat of the cutback, now I'm over the top. So I 2-step shuffle down, I bounce. He can't cut it back, now I'm over the top. You stay square and they glide. So we just have a 2-step shuffle, bounce, and get over the top. Staying square. You can make it staying square on the backside. This is the only way we played it our first year at Poway. Last year we wanted our kids to attack a little bit more. Okay? So we had our backside guys run a lot more over the top. Staying square. But we made sure we always had some kind of cutback player. We changed the way we run support with our free safety out of cover 3 to do that. Okay? Okay, that's it for this one. Go ahead and turn on the lights real quick. Attacking that guy. You want your head to the inside pec. You are an inside-out defender. Okay, these are just generic tackling drills here. Take a look at the knee drive. Get your knees higher and wide. Reestablish the base. Okay, we want your knees outside the frame of the ball carrier. Eyes at ball level. Pop the hips, pop the chest. Okay, that's where all your power comes from. Again, that's a springtime thing. Okay, very early on. A lot of times we'll have them pop the hips and pop the chest before we even teach them how to uppercut so we can take them through a progression. Okay, just like power cleans, we all know that's the most important lift in football. Okay, that's where all your pop is. If you guys are out of ball carriers, out of shield holders, you guys got stand-up dummies, go ahead and use those. The nice thing about stand-up dummies, they force you to keep bringing your knees or you're going to eat it. Okay, they force you to keep bringing your knees through. They force you to get your hips and your chest through. Okay, again, always working tackling off of the footwork. Going on air, two-step shuffle, hit up, double time your knees. Again, when we get in the spring ball or in the off season, your shield holder doesn't even need to move. Okay? We can two-step shuffle, then we can hit up the shield holder, double time our knees and run. One thing that we do, okay? Shield holders. You'll always hold the shield by the handles and get your elbows up. Once we hit up, we want to clamp the elbows because we force the shield holders now to give us some movement here. To keep those kids concentrated on what? Clamp your elbows, don't ever let the ball carrier spin. Okay? In pregame, the kids clamp the edges of the shoulder pads, they drop their elbows down. Once we hit up an uppercut off the edge of the tricep, now they've got some oomph to work them here. Okay? To stay clamped. Okay, again, just two-step shuffle and sprint. Now we'll talk about the rock back in open field if the ball's getting into C or wider. Okay, we've already seen this, it'll get going. Okay, now we're just using the back movement. We'll talk about the eyes and all that stuff in a minute. Okay, now we're just showing them what's going to happen in different situations. He cuts it back. With inside backers, we'll talk about the throttle with you guys, and I'll show it to you on the stage. Okay, there's just the rock back in space. Okay, teaching our kids to move, and again, getting the feet down quick. It's always 6-inch steps. Let's talk about eyes here in a minute, for a minute. Okay? And we'll get to this more into detail. We always start with single back. Okay, when you're teaching back reach, we always start with one back in the backfield because it's always full flow. Backs are always going the same way. Okay? If all I've got is one back in the backfield and we are keyed backs, your eyes always go 2 yards in front of the single back. Okay? Our eyes go 2 yards in front of the single back and they are down. Inside, outside backers, play with low eyes. Outside backers, so you can see pullers coming to kick you. Okay? Inside backers. So as he starts to move here, you guys will see off the cone system, we are both starting downhill that way for our fit. Before he even counters back, by keeping my eyes 2 yards in front of him, wherever he goes, I can feel the backside puller coming right now. Okay? As I'm starting downhill and I feel this guy pull, I'm going to rock it back before that back even counters back. Teach your kids to see what we call the big picture. We key backs, feel for the blocking scheme. So here's just a quick example of it. I'm already rocking back right now to fit off of my next down guy to the outside. Okay, take a look at it. Ball's getting wide to the triangle. Okay, I'll show you guys what we mean by the triangle in a minute. Okay, this back's going wide. He's going wide to the triangle. That guy's in the C or wider right now. It is a one-step shuffle and sprint. Ball's in the A or B. It's always 2 steps. 2 steps. Ball is in the C or wider. It's 1 step on the front side and the back side. 1-step shuffle and sprint. Okay, attack downhill, stay inside out. Front side, back side, you guys are both now inside out. On the back side, if you are the cutback player, 1-step shuffle and get going. The wider that ball is to the triangle, I obviously don't need to bounce now. If that ball is in the A or B, and I am the cutback player, you've got to bounce for no threat of the cutback before I go over the top. Okay? If this ball is wide to the triangle, that ball is C or wider, there is going to be no threat of the cutback. 1-step shuffle, get over the top, and a glide. When you glide, you are trying to stay 3 and 3 on the ball carrier. So coaches, the ball carrier obviously have a little bit backed up, but you're trying to stay 3 yards on top, 3 yards to the back side so he can't cut it back, staying square. If I can't keep my relationship at 3 and 3, now I will snap, turn, and run. Does that make sense? On the backside. Okay? If we allow our kids to run, that would be 1-step shuffle, and now I'm attacking downhill, keeping my hips square. But we will always have a cutback safety. Out of cover 3, we like to play cover 4 against the run, where our safety will always drop down. But now it's our safety that gets in the glide. If that makes sense. Okay? It's our backside drop down that will get in the glide to make sure there's no threat of cutback before he snap, turns, and runs. Okay? So this is, you are the cutback player. Okay? What we tell them, when you get 3 and 3, go ahead and run through right now. Okay? Hugging and tight. All this is here is showing them, don't turn your hips. Now, What we would do here, I'll start to get into the throttle tackle right now. What we tell our kids, go ahead and turn on the lights real quick, Coach. We tell our kids on the backside, if we want you to run through on the backside, run over the top square, we tell them to throttle. Once I get within 1 yard of Coach, okay, if he's starting to chop his feet or his hips sink, I will square up right now to keep my hips and my shoulders square the line of scrimmage. So now I can at least get head up, or if I'm really trying to stay to the inside pec. If you stay crossed over and run and I get this close to Coach, Coach is going to cut it back and I'm going over the top. Does that make sense? We are still inside-out players on the backside. Okay? So that's what we talk about with throttle. The way we get that top, Coach, if I can borrow you real quick. Let's go ahead and do it right here. I got this from University of Michigan. The way they teach it, they have me line up about a yard behind him, so go ahead and step up. Okay, and we're real close to each other. When we say go, we both start to run. Now when Coach starts to chop, I got to square up my hips. Then he takes off again, and I take off again. He starts to chop, I square up my hips. Okay, and then from there, now we'll back him up and make it realistic. Coach would be there, I would be running downhill. He starts to chop, I square up my hips. Okay, and bounce, keep your feet active. He takes off, I take off. By the time we finally get there, then we'll hit up and double time our knees. Okay, and we use that a ton. That is, you know, you've got to do it at least once a week in practice, in my opinion, because you don't want them overrun. Okay, if you allow them to stay square on the backside, then it doesn't matter. Okay, because they're already square until they get to 3 and 3. Okay, what he's showing us here, this is just a demonstration to Atlanta. If I don't throttle or square up my hips as I run through on the backside, you are going over the top. That's not a good thing. If we allow our kids here, if what we do in our scheme of things is to stay square, once he cuts it back, we always go near foot, near shoulder, right back to him out of the glide. Okay, this is what we call the compress. We compress right back to him to stay to the near pec, near shoulder, and again our hips are square. So I have one step shuffle, I'm over the top, he cuts it back, now I'm near foot, near shoulder to him. Okay? And again, we teach our kids both ways because there's certain weeks we may not have a cutback player. It's got to be him. So we work it. We tell them we've got to slow down on the backside this week. Okay? You've got to slow down. You've got to lock up on the guard this week. Okay? Okay, again, just adding shields so we can have the hit up. Just falling back into it. I'm an inside linebacker. I two-step shuffle downhill to attack to the inside pec. Okay? He cuts it back. Throw your head and your neck back into it. Get to the inside pec. Just working our feet and movements. This is big. And you guys will see it here in a minute. We don't ever want the ball carrier falling forward. So how do we get that taught? You squeeze your head and your neck back into them. Okay? To square them up. If we're on air, once we hit up, we will always make them strain it to go straight back. Okay? We don't ever want them falling forward. Now, out at the University of Oregon watching the Holiday Bowl practice, okay, it's the same deal for them. Always. Now, this is big. Here, we don't ever teach our kids to get your head across the bow. Okay? It depends, are you an inside-out player or an outside-in player? If you tell your kid to stay inside out, but to cross his face with your head, he can still cut back on you, in our opinion. If you're an inside-out player, if coach is coming from here and he's an inside-out player, his head has got to be to this side. Because we have got force players coming from the outside. Okay? Safeties, outside backers, DB, corners, whoever it is. They're coming from the outside. If you're ever tracking this guy on the sideline, and here he comes, inside out. As you hit up, we treat it like a free safety in cover 3. You hit with the chest and near shoulder, the upfield shoulder to knock him out of bounds. We don't want you running so hard to get your head across the bow and watch this guy cut up under you. Does that make sense? We've got people coming from the outside, and plus, if he's getting that wide, you've got the 12th defender, which is the sideline, knock him out of bounds. But we don't want people crossing your face. So we can't, tell them one thing and teach another. Head always gets to the inside pec. The only time we'll cross his face is when we overlap. Ball's in the A or B, our backside inside backer's got the far pec. Again, squeeze your head and your neck. Just doing different things to get them moving. We can get them to flatten out. Okay? All right, strength tackling. I want to show you guys this real quick, and then we'll actually get into some of the cone system. Some of you guys might have seen this last year or at the March Clinic. Different ways that we can get our kids to work against the strain of a strong ball carrier. Okay? We all know it's good and fine to be able to teach hit up, you know, when the back's not giving us a lot of pressure. But what happens when I go to hit up and that guy doesn't move? Because he's a stud, he's got his shoulders over too. Okay? It's called strain. We pound our knees down quicker now, almost like an offensive lineman. Okay? Keep working your chest, your hips, your eyes, your knees for the sky until I finally do get them up, and then we can accelerate our feet in double time. Okay? Number one, we've just got a medicine ball here. We've got our partner pushing down on it. Okay? Pound the knees. First we just go nice and easy on a walk. Once I finally do get them up, now I double time my knees. Keep working everything up. Okay, until you get your belly button all the way through, your eyes for the sky. And then finally we're going full speed. Just pounding these down quick. Okay, again, we can do it off of stand-up bags where the guy is pushing it down. Boxing gloves. We use boxing gloves to overcoach what? The elbow squeeze. We'll do that in practice. We'll have the kids hit up. You have no fingers. You can't grab cloth. The guy tries to spin out. You've got to clamp them with your elbows. Okay? And boxing gloves, guys, you know, it's not just for that. You guys can use them for D-line pass rush. Okay? Use them for punt block. Use them for defensive backs and tight man, working the punches so when you're slapping off, things aren't hurting their hands. Okay? So we can use them for a lot of things. It's just another way we're going to use them. I love this one. Okay? That's bicycle inner tube. Okay? Great for backs. Right? Keep bringing the knees. Get that ball, the tip of the ball up. I love it. Everybody's preaching on how great Tiki Barber's ball security is, right? Well, hell, when you're in traffic, you got to turn the tip up. Okay? He knows that. He's coached up well. Okay? It's the same thing here. We can do it for tackling. We can do it for running backs. Just the fireman drills up a running backs, put it behind their waist. Okay? So now you can pull them instead of guys hanging all over the shoulders and stuff like that. Okay? Same principle here. Once you put the ball here, or once you put the strap here, you just put it into their elbow insert right there. Okay? You've got to pop the hips, pop the chest, bring the knees, and get your knees up. Keep the elbow squeezed. Stay on the elbow clamp. Okay, we'll get to that in a minute. Coach, can you turn the lights on. Now, let me just show you guys the cone system. I'm not going to go over this real quick. Or I'm not going to, I am going to go over this real fast. Okay? You're going to want to concentrate on what yours is in terms of when we're watching tape later. Okay? With the 50, that's our cone system. We've got one off of each foot, off of each heel of the nose guard. It's 1.5 yards back. And again, if it's not yours, I wouldn't draw it down. Okay? With the tackles, we've got one on the inside foot, 1.5 yards back of our 5-technique tackle. Okay? We've got one 1.5 yards back on the inside heel of our weak side tackle. And we've got two on the back heels, okay, of the center. I'll explain how it works with the 50. If I got all backs into A, strong side, inside backer, thing fall out. Bring the inside knee, you are gone. Okay, you are gone. If they're in single back, you're an inside peg player. If they're in a 2-back set and they run the ISO, it depends on how you guys want to fit it. He can either throw it with his inside shoulder or his outside shoulder if you want him to cross his face. That's up to you. Okay? All backs outside of A, inside back, head to your outside curl. It just gives them a visual. Okay? Instead of teaching, hey, you've got a head, you know, to fit off your down guy. You can use the cones. You don't need bags. You don't need an offensive line. You don't need anything. If all backs are going away, now the S, head for your inside curl. Okay, so you can fit off your nose guard. That's how it works. It's the same exact thing for the W. Okay, on the 4-4, if you guys play them in the A and B gaps, strong side, inside backer, all backs into A, I got to go, blow it up. That's why we've got that there behind the line of scrimmage. Anytime we put a cone behind the line of scrimmage, that represents that's all backs into there, that's ISO, you got to go, that's your gap to get going. If all backs are headed outside of A, fit off your 3-technique before I go over the top. All backs go weak, now I'm down here over the center. Same thing for the weak side guy. All backs inside you, I'm heading downhill to here. All backs outside of me, I'm heading here before I rock it back. If you teach this kid just to go into here, then put a cone back there. Does that make sense? If you stack this backer, okay, like we do, we play it differently, but if you stack this backer in the 4-4, then that would be his cone. It's always the next guy outside you, the next guy inside you. But it just gives them a visual, if that makes sense. Okay? And again, I've got these on overhead plates. I'll be happy to explain them to you. You guys can copy them down. Okay, but we got to get moving. With the 4-3 and the reduction, here's their cone system. Okay, obviously the 4-3's got quite a bit. Okay? Okay, all backs into A strong. Mike, you got to go. Okay, you've got to go. All backs heading weak. Mike, I'm to here. All backs outside of A. Mike, I'm to there. So Mike's got 3 cones he's got to know, just like everybody else. Okay? The S, all backs inside you. I'm coming to here. All backs outside of me. I'm going to there. Same with the W. Okay? If you want them to go into B, there's his cone. If not, he's just working off these 2 cones. Okay? With the reduction, I'm there. Inside, away from me, I'm here. Outside of me, I'm here. Okay? With him, I'm there or I'm there. It just gives them visuals with all backs going in a certain direction. Okay? So that is what we call the cone system. That is how we get their run fits taught. Okay? We put down the cones for them. Finally, the triple stack. I know it's kind of becoming a big thing here. The triple stack, we do not have a cone system. Mike, the middle linebacker, pick it up and put it down, then you are an inside-out player. What we mean by pick it up and put it down, there's 2 things that you can teach. Number 1, he just picks up either foot, puts it down, and then gets moving. Or number 2, he can just bounce and then run. We always teach our inside backers on your keys. If you don't know where you're headed, bounce and then get going so you can stay active. Yes? Over here, ball's inside of me. Okay? I fit to the near pec. I fit to the near pec, which will be their outside pec. Okay? Ball's outside of me. I'm coming inside out. I'm coming inside out because in the 3-3, we tend to have outside guys here, strong safeties or outside backers. Okay? On the back side, this is big. Let's say all backs go away here. This guy just moves parallel now in the glide. He is your cutback player. We don't have him just take off. Same thing here. If they're going here, I'm the inside pec, I'm the near pec, I am moving sideways. Because what happens is too many guys come downhill, then they try to go over the top and they get picked off. So we just want them moving sideways, if that makes sense to you guys. Okay? Next, back keys. Where our eyes go against certain formations if you guys are keying backs. Number 1, if we are keying backs, and I've got single back like we've got here on top, our eyes go 2 yards in front of this single back. So both of our inside backers, our eyes are going 2 yards in front of that single back. Wherever that back goes, your eyes stay 2 yards in front of them. Okay? And then we can start to fit off our cone system. All backs into A. Okay? I know I'm coming downhill. I know I'm bringing it. All backs into B. I'm heading for my outside cone before I rock it back in. I'm heading here before I come over the top. All backs into C. 1-step shuffle, sprint. 1-step shuffle and move. Whether it's in the glide or the run over the top stand square. If we get a 2-back set out of the eye, we don't key the fullback. Okay? We tell our inside back, as the fullback is in a down stance, get your eyes right off the back of the fullback. If they're all going the same way, that's full flow. We're all moving. Okay? But what happens when they start to split and all that stuff? Okay? So we'll talk about that in a little bit. So our eyes go right between them. If they are ever offset in any way, we tell our inside backers to key the near back so they can get moved. Okay? So our left inside backer is keying the fullback. If they run ISO, he can go. Okay? Our backside guy is keying the tailback here. Okay? Next, split backs or offset backs. Again, key the near back. Okay? Key the near back. I'm keying him. I'm keying him. Okay, obviously, unless it's the wing T, we're not keying anybody because you can't see the third back, right, the wing. Split backs, I'm keying him, I'm keying on the left. Okay, now, next, flows, and how it works off the cone system. The top one, we always start at a single back. We'll send the ball carrier into A, then we'll send them into B, then we'll send them into C, off of our cone system. The cones are set up out there. Single back, all backs head the same way. That is full flow. Full flow, both guys get your cone and get moved. Okay, we are in attack mode now. If both backs are heading the same way out of the eye, that is full flow. Get your butt going. Okay, so here, Ball's outside of me, head to fit off the inside foot of my next down defender, and I can rock it back inside out if I have to. I know I'm over the top. Offset backs. Both backs head the same way. That is full flow. We are both moving now to our cones. Okay? Split flow. Now take a look at it. The explanation of, well, it's not really an explanation, but the label of it is underneath. Split flow. One back inside, one back outside. You guys are playing the inside veer team. Okay? You're playing RBV. Right? If I'm the inside linebacker on the left and I'm getting split flow at me, one inside, one outside, you've got to head for your outside cone. Okay? You've got to head for your outside cone, then check the fullback. They give it to them, rock back in. They pull it, now I can keep on the run through. Does that make sense? But on the backside, both backs are away, aren't they? Okay? Head downhill, then get over the top. Check the fullback, then get going. Divide flow. Okay? If they divide, backs go different ways. Okay? This inside backer has got to respect that guy. We don't want him just to take off, so we'll have what we call gather up in there. Okay? He just kind of gathers his feet before he gets moving over the top. Okay? I've got to check him. All backs outside of me, head to your next cone. Then I can rock it back in. Okay? So that is divide flow. If we ever play a midline team, like we have done in the past against RBV and some other teams run the midline. Midline's, I think, in my opinion, one of the toughest places to stop in football. Okay? But if they run the midline, this guy is now hitting almost straight. Okay? We will have our play side inside linebacker gather into that hole. Okay? Before he goes. We don't treat this as split flow with him heading wide. Does that make sense? Okay? We have him gather up, but to him on the backside, all backs are away, I'm heading downhill. If they cross, the nice thing about when they cross, okay, we key our near back, he heads that way, I start to come to here. If I need to rock it back, I rock it back. If he crosses, I start to shuffle down to here. It'll either take me to him or I'm over the top. So that's how, yes, sir.
Can I ask, why do you not treat that like split flow?
This one?
Yeah.
Because the midline, what happens, it's so tight right up the center's butt that if I head to the outside and they give it to the fullback, you're in trouble, especially in the 40. You're playing the 40 against the midline team, they're probably going to run the midline a lot. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Now, the midline, the quarterback tends to pull it and run into B. The nice thing about that, we've got an outside backer or somebody out here keying that wing, or that near halfback, he will wham under. He comes under, this guy folds, and he can help out with the quarterback. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Whereas inside veer, the track is wider now to the fullback, or it's going to actually be the option on the outside. Okay?
Couple minutes, Kyle.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's get back to the tape. Again, if you guys have questions on that stuff, we'll get to it. Okay. This is at Cal last year, just showing you how we can work off the cone system. Now, there is no cone system lined up here. These are just offensive linemen. Okay, but what we're showing you here is the overlap now. Great inside linebackers have the ability to overlap. If the ball's in the A or B, and we play with a two linebacker system, play side's always inside peck, back side's over the top. And again, this is a slowed down version of it in terms of we want him to glide initially. If we don't want him to glide, he would two-step shuffle, and he'd be running square over the top. This is obviously run into B weak. Okay? How do we know that? The play side inside linebacker. All backs outside of you. Head for your outside cone. All backs away. Head for the next down defender. Okay? And I can rock it back. I'm to the inside peck. I'm over the top. If you allow them to run, okay, then he would just cross over and run square. Okay, now we're getting into flattening out and shooting your gun here. Shoot your gun. Inside linebacker. Don't be afraid to shoot your gun. What we mean is this. I'm attacking. This can happen play side or back side. I am attacking. I can feel a window or a hole open up. And I can still see the back in the ball, the running back in the backfield. And I feel like I can make it. Don't be afraid to shoot your gun. You shoot that gap. Hug that next offensive blocker as tight as you can, but the big issue is you had better flatten out when you get there. If you keep running straight through that hole, that back is working this way now. Okay, you're going to run right by him. So once you get there now, if I ever feel a window open up, don't be afraid to shoot your gun as long as he is still in the backfield. If I can feel that window open up, but big, flatten out. We use broomsticks to overemphasize those guys. Drop that shoulder down. Okay, just flatten it out. The next way we get it taught is with bags. Teach them to use their eyes. This is the same thing. Twice. Okay, finally, take a look at it. We take the brooms away. Okay, two-step and one-step shuffle. Sprint, reduce that hip and shoulder. Drop the shoulder down. You better flatten out at the line of scrimmage. Okay, stay flat so I can track them inside out. Next, we'll use bags. We'll take 4 scouts. You can either have them hold bags. What we do, we bring our offensive linemen over. Okay? You got 4 of them standing there. You tell them where you want them to go. 2 guys can block down, guys can pull. Just have a window open up somewhere in there. If everybody blocks back and the window is shut, you've got to now what? Go over the top of the trash. Okay? So you're teaching them to use their eyes. Number 1, no back here. We're just going to open a window. Okay? And now I flatten out with no back. Just teaching them to use their eyes. Next, we'll add a running back now. I two-step shuffle, get to my fit. Okay? Now I flatten out, get to the inside peg of the ball carrier, always square them up. Okay? All backs, all the offensive line are the bags, they block back. Okay? They block down. Now I work over the trash to stay inside out. Just teaching them to feel it. Okay? Again, doing the same thing here, staying to the inside peg. Okay, again, here's a look at the cone system, how we can get it taught. There are no cones or offensive line, but we would have our cone set up out here. Front side, inside peg, back side, overlap, get over the top. Balls into A or B, there's always an overlap. Balls into C or wider, there is no overlap. Now, when we teach this, you take a look at it. When we teach them to tackle, the second guy in will always uppercut on his partner. Okay, and he'll uppercut on the ball carrier. You don't want to knock each other off the pile. Yes? So if this guy was in first to hit up, as I come to squeeze my hips into him, I uppercut one time on my partner's back and the other time on the ball carrier. If I come in just trying to take out the ball carrier, we've all seen it, this guy gets knocked off. So we always uppercut, we get him in the vise. Okay? Real quick, I'll just show you one thing. It'll take me 2 minutes. In terms of the strain tackling, how we can get it working with our kids, having the backs put some pressure on. Okay? We love porta pits. This is a camp we did up in Hanford High School. Some of you guys may have seen this last year. Okay, these are inside backers. Near foot, near foot. Plant, bring your knees. Bring your knees, squeeze your elbows. Okay? We love porta pits. Come in with your eyes at ball level, near foot, get the hands in the holsters so you can uppercut from the holsters. You don't have time to cock it back as an inside backer. That ball carrier appears in a hurry. Okay, squeeze your elbows down. You don't want to cut out. Okay, we'll look at one more. Take a look at the near foot, near foot.
Everything been taught. Set. Go!
Okay, now, if he wants to take one shuffle step, fine, but he's got to come downhill with it. Don't move parallel.
Go!
Alright, bring your knees, squeeze your elbows. Okay. I apologize. Go ahead and turn that off.